Welcome to r/EntitledPeople, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them, and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: entitled person steals goggles and claims hotel ground belongs to him. The second story: entitled family arrives after closing, demands special treatment, and leaves a mess. The third story: how one fictitious appointment of a bad employee leads to a mass quit. The first story is: entitled person steals our stuff and claims hotel ground belongs to him, denies it until confronted by staff. It was during the month of April. Me and my family had gone to this resort near the beachside. Now, the way the resort worked was that it was split into various buildings. Building 1200, 1100, and 1000. The rooms in Building 1000 were much more luxurious and expensive, being larger and nearer to the sea, while the rooms in Building 1200 were much more affordable but smaller as well. My family booked a room somewhere around 1100, which wasn't too shabby. It had access to a small river-like pool leading to the main public pool. So one day we decided to go for a swim and made our way to the public pool. After a while of swimming, we decided to make our way back via the pool back to our room. So we brought our towels and accessories like water guns and goggles in and made our way slowly towards our room. Unfortunately, midway through, I cut my leg on a decorative rock they had in the pool, and my leg started to bleed and ache like crazy, so my mom decided to help bring me to our room since I had difficulty doing so. She left our towels and other items on 2 beach chairs just at the edge of the pool, so she wouldn't have to carry them at the same time before bringing me back to the room. Now, I wasn't present for the rest of the story since I was in the hotel room, but based off my mom's retelling of it, this is what happened. My mom made her way back to the spot she had placed our items only to find our belongings dumped on the ground, and sitting on beach chairs were our suspects. One older man, who I will call EP, and a teenager or young adult next to him, around 18 years old and presumably EP's son, who I will call EPS, entitled person's son. So my mom decided to confront them, and an argument developed within seconds. Excuse me, why are you sitting here and why have our belongings been dumped on the ground? EP: they were taking up the seat. Please leave. This is private property. It's important to note the chair nor the area it was taking up were private property. There was a footpath behind them which broke off the path to lead to a room, which was presumably theirs, but the footpath itself was still for anyone to use, let alone the chairs. This is not private property. Why did you dump our belongings? EP: this is private property. Leave. This is not private property, and if you don't answer me, I will contact the hotel staff. EP still continues on, insisting this is private property, their tone getting more aggressive as time went on. My mom decided it wasn't worth the effort to fight back, so she snatched up our belongings and left our room. When she came back, she hung up the towels and went to dry off our accessories, water guns, goggles, etc. But then she realized that the goggles we had brought, one green and black, the other blue and white, for her and me respectively, were missing. So she decided to make her way back and recount her steps and hope she just dropped them on the way unknowingly. Eventually, she made her way to the beach chairs way. EP and EPS were still lying down and continued searching. EP: this is private property. Leave now. I'm looking for something. Have you seen any goggles around here? EP: no, we have not. Now go. This is private property. Another additional thing, EPS apparently seemed to hate EP, looking away when he was spitting out the nonsense about private property, and just seemingly very embarrassed in general. My mom was irritated and decided to leave frustrated, deciding it was easier to make a complaint to resort staff. She made her way to the lobby and asked one of them to tell EP that the seats he were claiming were his were in fact public property, and to also help find the lost goggles. The staff seemed very unconcerned, however, telling her that they would do it despite immediately going back to their other tasks and paying no mind. So she decided to speak to the manager, who she actually knew for quite a while since she would often have to discuss business dealings with them to represent her place of work. So the manager came out, a tall man who I will call RM, resort manager, and my mom told him the story. RM followed her to the seats and told EP to stop insisting the property was his, since it clearly was not. EP, seeing that he had no chance of winning this, made his way back to his room while grumbling angrily. While they were finally put in their place, my mom still hadn't found the goggles. However, when EPS trailed behind his dad back to their room, my mom noticed he was carrying a small cloth bag that, among other things, swimming caps, sunblock, etc., also had 2 goggles identical to ours inside. So she knocked on the doors of their room. RM behind her, and when EP answered, confronted him. M, why do you have our goggles? EP, I don't know what you mean. I didn't take anything. M, that bag, pointing at the cloth bag sitting on the bed behind them. It has our goggles. EP, I don't know what you mean. Stop accusing me. RM, if you do not show us the bag, I'll have to make a missing items report. EP grumbled, hesitantly walking towards the bag. He left the door open enough for my mom and RM to walk in. They surrounded the bag, and lo and behold, the goggles she were looking for were sitting comfortably at the top of the bag. My mom grabbed our goggles, her blood practically boiling at the attempted theft of her things. The goggles weren't cheap either. They were relatively pricey for goggles. The RM was frowning and threatening to make a police report. EP, of course, begged him not to, spewing some nonsense about finding it on the ground and taking it because no one claimed it, which is still illegal and a horrible excuse. However, I think RM didn't want to go through the hassle of submitting a police report, so he and my mom made their way out of the room. And that's where the story ends. Our goggles were safely returned, and we made our way back home once the holiday was over. It kinda hurts knowing EP was more than happy to steal in front of his son, and how much he seemed to think the world revolved around him, but in the end it did make for a good story. The second story is, family came in after closing. Tuesday, I worked a closing shift at the restaurant I work at. Where I work, we close at 9 p.m. during the weekdays and 11 p.m. during the weekends. It's also important that I add online our hours are 11 p.m. all week, even though our actual hours are different. It's been an issue for a few weeks, and we're still trying to fix this because some people tend to walk in after closing. Most of the time, people are understanding and they leave. Sometimes we have a few who get upset and throw a fit. But this Tuesday, I had the most entitled family walk in 10 minutes past closing. A man walks in asking if we're still open, and I tell him I apologize, but we close at 9 p.m. and are closed for the night. He then says, but your hours online say you close at 11 p.m., and I then explain to him how we've been trying to get it fixed, and that our hours are 9 p.m. weekdays and 11 p.m. weekends. He says okay and leaves the restaurant. I thought he'd leave, but I was very wrong. His wife walks in with 3 children behind her asking if we're actually closed, or if I'm just too lazy to serve them. I explain to her what I explained to her husband, and my manager overhears our conversation. I think it's also important to add that my manager is a complete suck-up to customers. He walks up to us and tells this entitled woman, we can seat you no problem. He seats them at a table I had just swept and cleaned. I ask him why he did that because 1, we're closed, and 2, the kitchen and bar were also closing up for the night. He tells me it's better to just let them have their way and to not argue. I ask if he's expecting our kitchen and bar to stay open all night for this one family, and he tells me no, just get their order, and once that ticket is finished, the kitchen will close. So I just accepted it and went up to them to get their order. When I walk up to them, I tell them, welcome, just to let y'all know our kitchen and bar are closing up for the night, so last call for any drink and food items will be now. Since my manager told me kitchen would close after I ring in their ticket, and the mom says, I don't appreciate being rushed, which would be understandable if you didn't come in after closing. So after a million questions and back and forward, they finally decide on what they want to eat. After they're done ordering, I let them know again that it's last call and that they wouldn't be able to order anything else. And the mom tells me, yeah, whatever, just ring in our food since you want us out so bad. I say okay and leave. After I bring out their food, they immediately tell me that the dishes I brought out were wrong. They begin to tell me that they actually wanted grilled fish instead of fried fish. They never mentioned any modifications about any fish to me while ordering. Also, it wasn't like I was rushing them while ordering, because I answered about 20 different questions about each dish, so they knew every detail about the dish. They then tell me, whatever, this is fine, we'll just eat it as is. So then I walk by and let my manager know that their food is out and the kitchen's good to close. 5 minutes go by and I go and check on this family to see if they need anything. Oh my God, they completely ruined the booth they were sitting at. Food was all over the floor, and grease was all over the booth seats where the kids were sitting. I think I let it show on my face the shock I felt, because the mom says, yeah, you're gonna have a lot to clean up. I try to keep my composure and ask if they need anything, and they tell me, yeah, we want to order to go. I tell them they can't because last call was while they were ordering, and this woman goes crazy. She starts demanding that her whole tab be comped, and that I'm an awful server for not letting them order to go. At this point, I just walk away and go print their tab so that they can pay and leave, because I was done with this woman's behavior. When it comes to pay out, the husband pulls out a stack of cash and gives me the exact amount, and then gives me a penny and tells me here's your tip. I didn't let it get to me. I simply handed him his penny back and told him to get home safe and to leave. After they left, I go and clean the mess they made. After all was done, I left around 11 p.m. to go home. I hope that mom gets karma for the way she treats people. The third story is, unfair promotions, and the mass exodus. So a few years back, I used to work for a big 3-lettered IT company in one of their call centers. Our company did a lot of third-party support for companies who didn't want to deal with certain portions of their IT. A bit of background on how it functioned. Our team was tasked with answering calls for over 40 different companies in multiple different languages. There were 5 levels of employees that worked in the team. Consultants. These were the employees that took the brunt of the calls. Senior consultants. These were the employees that consultants would go to when needing help on a call, ticket, etc. Additionally, they would be required to do on-call at least once a month. There is no salary raise when going from consultant to senior consultant. However, you're mostly taken off calls. Back office and subject matter experts, SME. These were assigned to one specific company to do tasks that were deemed too complex for consultants, i.e. creating user accounts, client audits, etc. Additionally, if senior consultants were unsure of an issue pertaining to our client, they would come to see us. There's no salary raise from consultant to back office or subject matter expert, however, you're mostly taken off calls. Team leaders. These were the first level management. You would come to them for general questions, scheduling issues, etc. Manager. These were the big bosses in the team. They would implement major changes in the team, as well as hire and fire employees. With that long introduction out of the way, on to the story. After about 6 months of being a consultant, I got promoted to an SME position. Since our company and employees were pretty hush-hush about salary raises when changing positions, I did not know that there was no salary raise when changing positions until the offer was put on the table. I took the position as I still wanted to be taken off calls. Enter D-Bag Team Leader, DTL, and D-Bag SME, DS. DTL was very good at playing politics with the manager to get what he wanted and was aiming to become a manager. He was also dating DS. DS was not smart or technical, but she did speak 2 of the least spoken languages in the office, which were crucial for support. That plus DTL's politicking got an SME position quite early on in her career. After months of busting my A working 60 to 80 hours a week as an SME, I was awarded my first raise, 50 cents. Apparently, this was the biggest raise anyone in the team had gotten in years. Yeah, right. Anyways, a few more months go by and a new position in the team opens. Called a client specialist, and it gets awarded to, drumroll, DS. No one really knew what the position entailed, and after a few weeks of seeing DS working the new position, it's still not clear what has changed in her role. I decided to contact HR and ask for a detailed description of that job title, with the pretense that I might be interested in applying if a future position opened. Surprisingly, it works, and after reading through it, I find out that the job description is the same as an SME. At this point, I start talking about this with some work colleagues, and after a bit of digging, I find out 2 things. 1. DTL had politicked his way into convincing the manager into opening this BS position for DS. 2. She was getting paid between 15 to 20K more than all SMEs and seniors who did the exact same job as her. Once I found out that I gave my 2 weeks notice, and in the following weeks approximately 80% of seniors and SME resigned as well. Last I heard, they're now starting to compensate SMEs and seniors more, but they lost a lot of their best employees when that happened. I hope you love these stories. Subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching and have a good day.